Hi, and welcome to A Bold Review. I'm Carl Castillo. In the first half of the show, I'll be speaking with Councilwoman Suzy Ageton about some big changes coming to US 36. In the second half of the show, Jody Jacobson will be speaking with Martha Ruskowski about how the city is going to integrate those changes into the city's transportation system. But first, here with me now is Councilwoman Ageton. Suzy, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
So, all of us do a lot of commuting in and out of Boulder, and US 36 with about 120,000 daily commuters is certainly one of the most important options to make that commute. And yet, with the increased congestion that we see on that and the deterioration of the highway, of the asphalt and of the bridges, it's increasingly becoming a challenge for people to use it. Certainly not one that can accommodate the kind of increases in population and employment that we can see we expect to see in that corridor. Luckily, you have some good news to report, though. So I thought maybe you could start off by painting a picture about what people can expect to see over the next few years.
Yeah, we do have some good news. And I would start by saying that that good news is a direct result of a very powerful and effective coalition. It's called the US 36 Mayors and Commissioners Coalition, which runs all the way from Westminster on the east end of the corridor to Boulder and Boulder County on the west end. This group, in conjunction with US 36 Commuting Solutions, which is a privately organized group of businesses along the corridor. Obviously, they have an interest. Also, RTD, the Regional Transportation District, the Colorado Department of Transportation, and others have worked very effectively to recognize that this is a key corridor connecting two of our major business sectors in the state, Denver and Boulder. And we've grown dramatically, as you pointed out. So here are some things that are going to be happening very soon. Construction should be starting by April or spring sometime of 2012. We're going to see, first off, some resurfacing and reconstruction of just the general purpose lanes. That's important. And a replacement of structurally deficient bridges. But the really exciting news is we're going to get a managed lane, a separate managed lane in each direction for bus rapid transit. This is something we've been talking about with our community for a very, very long time. This is a lane that will accommodate bus rapid transit. It will also accommodate high occupancy vehicle passengers. So anyone with a car that has more than 2 people in it will be able to use this lane as well. And then we will allow also single occupancy vehicles to be in there for a toll. So that's one of the biggest things they're going to see. The other thing they're going to see is we are going to be, and that I should say very clearly, that managed lane in the first phase will run from Pecos to Interlaken. We have been able to secure funds for that much, hopefully maybe a little further if we can stretch our dollars. And paralleling that will be a commuter bike path, which is very exciting. We got a lot of people who like to commute to work. There's no way to do that along 36 now. So we will start that additional multimodal aspect along with the managed lane. And the other thing that people are going to see very soon is coming from RTD, and that is they're going to see a pedestrian overpass bridge built at the Table Mesa Park and Ride. And this is something we've been wanting as a way to facilitate BRT, because it will allow the buses not to have to pull off, those heading to Denver, not to have to pull off and go into the Table Mesa Park and Ride, but be able to go to the south side to a bus rapid transit station. Pedestrians will access it through this bridge over, and it will save time. It will be a more efficient and effective way for us to move people.
Okay.
There are other things that are coming, but those are some of the big ones that people are going to see very soon.
Okay, well, let me ask you some questions about that
Sure.
to help flesh out for our viewers what it is that we mean by bus rapid transit. Is that just the express bus that we currently see there, or is it something different?
No, it's a different image. In some ways, it is closer in feel and look to light rail, in the essence that you have a vehicle that ideally you load into straight up, not climbing upstairs. It's a step-up access. Ideally, and we believe RTD is going to be able to accomplish this, you will have prepaid fare collection. So you expedite people being able to get on and off the bus or make transfers, which is also important. And you will have specific branding and marketing that will distinguish this vehicle type from buses that we're familiar with now.
Okay, so in many ways it's like a train on rubber wheels, except it doesn't have to be on a track.
It doesn't have to be on the track, but it is distinctive, and it's going to have some significant travel time saving advantages because it's going to have this, when we're finished, it's going to have this separate managed lane all the way from Pecos into Foothills, ultimately.
Okay, okay, but the first stage, which begins
The first stage is
next year.
Pecos to Interlochen, starts in 2012. We expect it to be completed and operative by 2015.
Okay, 2015, and perhaps the next phase when funding is identified.
Exactly.
Hopefully very soon. So, and the managed lane, that certainly provides people who want to drive, who need to drive, an additional option that they wouldn't have now.
Correct.
And then you mentioned the bike lane. Now, I think that the first thing that a lot of people would ask is, who bikes to Denver? That seems like a long way to commute.
Well, I think you're right. I don't think we anticipate that this is going to be for people who are commuting all the way into downtown Denver. That is pretty unrealistic. But we have a significant number of businesses along the US 36 corridor that would be very achievable to go there by bike if we had a pathway for people. Right now we don't have that. It's a patchwork of being off-road and on-road, and so really it's not an efficient or practical way for people to travel. But with a bike path that runs from Foothills all the way to Pecos, you're going to be able to access an awful lot of businesses along the corridor, and that's not a terribly long commute for some of our great bicyclists, once we give them the means for a safe commute.
Right, right. Okay, well, so it seems like in many ways this is going to be the true multimodal option. If you want to bike, you can bike. If you want to drive by yourself, you can drive by yourself. If you have an HOV, someone with you, you'll get a discount, or actually it'll be free perhaps.
Depending on the numbers, right?
Depending on the numbers. If you want to take the bus, there'll be a managed lane which is unimpeded, has kind of a more direct route from Boulder to Denver and every stop in between. So you have kind of the full range of options.
Yeah, and you have some other things that I didn't mention. One of the things that's also going to happen in this first phase is we're going to be laying a fiber optic cable the entire length of the corridor, which is going to allow for the kind of real-time messaging that bus ridership and bus rapid transit ridership that can benefit from. So you're going to know the timing of the buses. It also will facilitate some other technological advantages that will help us continue to advance the ridership on this corridor. So we're very excited about that aspect as well, which is coming. We got to get the cable in there first, but then we will have the capacity to do a number of things. There's also the variable sign. I'm trying to think of the proper word here. Let me look at my notes. Variable message signs, which are part of what will be present at every bus rapid transit station, so that people will have information to let them know how the system is functioning and what they can expect.
Okay, so you can pick up your smartphone, you know where the bus is, you know when it's going to come, all those kinds of things.
That's exactly right. I mean, that's the world we live in part now, but we have never had that on the corridor, and we're moving in that direction very rapidly.
Right. Well, it's very exciting. Now, I know this has been part of a vision that the city and the cities and counties along US 36 have had for at least 12 years, and that there's been a lot of efforts, a lot of meetings. I mean, I personally have been part of those, and I know you've been a part of a lot of them as well. What changed recently to all of a sudden go from vision to on-the-ground improvements? I know this wasn't expected anytime soon.
No, it wasn't. I think a couple things happened. Unfortunately, one of them is tied to the economic recession in ways, and it has to do with the fact that money was made available through the American Recovery and, to get the name right, Reinvestment Act. And that allowed us to apply for a relatively small grant. It was $10 million. But the real value of that grant was that it came with a challenge opportunity, that if we could generate the revenue, we would then be eligible to compete for a federal loan. So that $10 million, through the efforts of this coalition and all of our many partners, including the state, including CDOT, including RTD, including HD, oh, I'm going to get that one wrong, HPTE, allowed us to generate another $54 million. In a loan. So that's part of what's happened. Some opportunities arose that we were able to take advantage of. And then we're putting all of those dollars together with $120 million in fast track dollars from RTD, we're seeing now, beginning to see the real benefit of our taxes there. We also have money from CDOT. That's federal and state grant money that they have devoted to this quarter. They're putting in, I think it's about $38 million, if I remember right. And then we also have some money that came out of the FASTER bill as a result of focusing on structurally deficient bridges, which is something we absolutely need to take care of.
So this seems like the perfect example of the Recovery Act coming through with leveraging, 10 million led to what, 130 million with so many other partners. So
we look at all the other parties. We're talking about a total of 312 million total, but some of that's in straight grants, but other money came directly as a result of being able to leverage that initial 10 million. So we've had some exciting opportunities, we've capitalized on them, and we have some others coming. Again, the work that's being done to help us bring private investors into this effort, they're seeing what's happening on this corridor. This is a high-tech corridor. As you said, this is an entrepreneurial corridor. And there are private investors who are interested potentially in working with us and our partners to get us all the way into foothills. And so I'm looking forward to the efforts that are coming to see those managed lanes coming all the way in to foothills and the full build out of what we have anticipated for so many years. Okay, well, so one last question. Perhaps you can briefly address it, but I know that a lot of people are saying, we're part of Fast Tracks. Is this Fast Tracks that we're talking about? Is there something else doesn't Fast Tracks involve a train? It does.
Is some of this money from the Fast Tracks?
Some of this money is from the Fast Tracks, yes. It was always intended to be for bus rapid transit, but we also have a Northwest Rail that is part of our regional-wide system of transit that we feel... Is
that still coming?
That is still coming. The coalition is still working on that. It's a bit more challenging because we're working with the Boulder, Burlington, Santa Fe Railroad, and because it's a freight corridor right now and is being discussed as conversion to a freight and passenger corridor. Big challenges there. We're looking for numbers from them coming sometime in the next couple months to see what we're talking about. But yes, that is very much part of the picture. And as you can imagine, our partners to the north, Longmont in particular, are really looking at this. But as are our cities along the corridor who have anticipated this and have looked at the possibilities for transit-oriented development tied to this particular form of transportation or transit. So that's very much in the picture, and we're working hard to make that a reality as well.
Great, great. Well, Suzy, thank you for addressing a both exciting and very complex topic, because I know in this world of transportation, we always talk about the color of money because there's so many different sources.
There are.
So many different aspects of the project. But luckily, you're one of the city's champion on this issue. Champions, and you were a great person to speak to about it. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be right back with Jody Jacobson, who will be speaking with Martha Wiskowski about how these changes on US 36 will be integrated into the city project.